Amazing speakers, amazing perspectives. It's still sinking in. Wow. Hello, everyone. Um, I must admit that I was slightly nervous when I was told that I need to conclude this thing within 8 to 9 minutes, because that's about the time I really get to get warmed up. Nonetheless, we are all mere mortals sitting on a giant rock called the Earth and hurtling in space at 67,000 miles per hour. And what we do by then is, because all the achievements that we have had, whatever we have secured as a part of a success story, really pales in significance to that just a visual fact. So in fact, our lives have all become about the haves and the have-nots. You have the achievers, underachievers, and the failures. So in this conundrum of this high-octane life, the time is never constant, and the past suddenly becomes a haze. You ponder, you reflect, you regret, and then you move on in hindsight. So hindsight is a beautiful thing. It is the catalyst that really reveals your oversights of the past and creates the most critical components, your insights, and then the real perspective which you have as a foresight that really helps you going forward in making the right choices. Hindsight is also about what if and why me post-mortem scenarios. Unfortunately, you cannot go back to your past, change your choices, change the consequences that have followed because of the choices that you have made in the first place. You have to take it in, accept it, unlearn, relearn, and then move forward. So whilst the present is to be lived, the future is to be planned for, the past is to be learned from. In my perspective, life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it. Just think about it. The best of plans didn't survive COVID. The best of your top graders do not necessarily become CEOs or founders. The best of your music artists really succumb to the dark side of fame. The best of your unicorns and the billionaires club are all mavericks, misfits, eccentrics, and were mostly laughed at by everyone in the past, in hindsight. And the most wealthiest, yet not the most educated, they employ the best of global brains. It is a funny world, isn't it? And why does that happen? It happens because there is no linear path to success. It is a combination of all our unique journeys coming together to shape and define to what you finally become. Correct? Now, if you look at a recent research study done in the UK on hindsight, what they figured was they revealed that, most of the people would like to go back to the past and try and change their choices with the intention to really make amends to moving forward. In psychological terms, it's called as hindsight bias, which means unconsciously we go with the belief that I know it all along, right? So then what happens is it gives way to 3 frameworks called memory distortion, inevitability, and foreseeability, because you operate on the misconception that, hey, I've taken a particular action or a choice, and I know pretty well how it's going to shape up. That is a misconception that you'll realize as you go through. Now, what happens is, this phenomena happens because, as an individual, we generally overestimate our ability to be able to predict the outcome of our actions. And when that happens, it operates on 2 dimensions. One is you are looking at a self-service motive. You use hindsight to protect your ego, to blame yourself for not being able to anticipate the outcomes better as you should have. But concurrently, you feel superior for having known it all along. Secondly, hindsight is also shaped in by your personal values, culture, and your traditional backpack. And your traditional backpack is nothing but your past baggage. So when you put things in your backpack and you're not able to offload certain things, you are not relearning, unlearning. So you're not moving forward. If you keep doing the same thing and expect a different outcome, it's not reasonable, right? So let's try and decode the hindsight from the perspective of a sponge or a sieve. What I mean by doing that is, as a sponge, you go back, reflect on your past decisions, the outcomes that have come about, and you say, hey, I'm going to take it all its entirety. I'm going to accept it, and I'm going to learn from it, and then move forward with the learnings. Or you take the sieve concept where you say, hey, you know what, I'll be selective. I will consciously choose those choices that I've made in life which suits my purpose, that satisfies my ego and makes me justify whatever action that I might have taken, which in my mind was correct. So let me try and dissect this phenomena of hindsight from the perspective of, from the metaphorical perspective, the potato, egg, and the coffee beans. So when you put in potato, egg, and coffee beans in separate pans of fire, what happens is it evolves from its initial state. So when the potato goes in the boiling pan, it is strong, stubborn, rigid, and hard. When you look at the egg, it is hard from the exterior, but very soft and gooey from the inside. It's weak, vulnerable, and easy to break. Coffee beans is just powdered beans powder, right? So it's almost ignored, almost invisible as it goes into the boiling pot. What happens when they come outside the boiling pot is a transformation story. So the potato, which went in as stubborn and rigid and hard to break, comes out as weak and soft and vulnerable. When it meets adversity in life, crises in life, it becomes soft. It is not able to cope up with change. You look at the egg, which went in as weak and vulnerable and easy to break in, it comes out as a stronger and evolved personality, literally toughened up for the journey ahead. It learns to survive. Coffee beans is a revelation. It spreads an amazing aroma, gives instant energy to the people who are having it, and instantly becomes most wanted. So depending on what you went in as and what you came out as is a remarkable journey of transformation. Let me try and decode this hindsight phenomena through my own lived experiences. So as far as I'm concerned, my life has been all about different inches adding to my 5.8 feet frame and probably an evolving beer belly. Eat, pray, and love has been my dictum of life so far. The choices in life for me has always been from my heart, not the mind, and hence there are no regrets. Learning, loads of it. So let me just take you through a sneak preview of how my journey has evolved with regard to hindsight, my choices, and the consequences. I was trained as an economist in graduation, moved to HR, not finance, with one of the world's largest hydropower projects in Southeast Asia. Then moved to marketing as a function. So if you look at finance, HR, and marketing. Did my MBA from GIM Goa, mainly for its faculty, and of course for the wonderful beaches. I declined an offer from FMS Delhi, which is one of the top 5 B schools at that point in time, because I ran my schooling and college from Delhi and got bored of it, and of course I liked Goa more. That was a huge call at that point in time. While I was doing my MBA, I got passionate about retail as a sector. So when the placement week came in, I ignored the IT consulting firms that came in and went in for Shopper Stop in Amchi, Mumbai. So from retail operations to HR consulting with one of the world's largest HR consulting firms, Manpower, which I was heading it for the Western region. Then I got headhunted in 2007 in Dubai with one of the large local HR consulting firms called C. Then came 2009, the global crisis. But then I straddled a different hat. I went in with my own search firm, became the CEO and founder. Then moved on to the corporate side with Al-Farah Group, Emaar, Galadari Group, trying to balance the gray with the gray, dealing with the idiosyncrasies and what have you. And then came back to HR consulting now. So if you look at my journey, from the indifference curves in economics to being indifferent in life unapologetically, it's been a roller coaster ride. And I own all my choices with all the consequences and with all the learnings. Delving a bit deeper, while in school, I was a complete introvert. I transitioned from being an introvert to be an ambivert, largely helped by my teachers and my wonderful friends in school. Went into dramatics, went into debates, went into sports, and I quickly realized that life is like a marathon. Your grades will take you to a particular distance, but your extracurricular activities or your well-roundedness are really your last legs that puts you closer to the finish line. I was a house prefect, moved on to being a school captain, then played football at the national level. And as I gained more experience under my belt, I then went to the stages of a potato, an egg, and a coffee. As I gained more experience, I became just like the potato. Stubborn, rigid, know-it-all attitude. And then I met with extreme circumstances, new environments. I was tested, literally baptism by fire. I became soft, weak, vulnerable. I didn't know what hit me. But yes, I took it in constructive hindsight, shook myself up, and moved forward with the learnings. After some more experience down my belt, I became more like the egg. I learned to mask a very strong exterior while being emotionally very weak inside. I met with corporate betrayals, corporate politics, biases, favoritism, shifting power cultures, milestones being shifted, goal settings being shifted, and what have you. I learned to survive. I toughened up for the act, took those learnings in and moved forward. Now, after 25 plus years of working with and impacting large organizations and teams, I've become more like the coffee. Blending in, staying humble, staying grounded, being able to spray my know-how and expertise to the boards and the clients, and helping people in business become better versions of themselves. So that's my lived experience. When it comes to experience, funnily, they say good judgments comes out of experience. Ironically, experience itself comes from bad judgments. Because what is experience all about? Experience is the name people give to their mistakes. Correct? So in the rat race of success and failure, euphoria and depression, one reality escapes us all. And that is, even if you win the rat race, you are still a rat. So if there are two critical takeaways I'd like to leave the audience with today, these are A, practice gratitude. Be grateful for what you have today and what you have had in the past. Forget about karma and manifestations. It is the basic human emotion to be grateful. Secondly, be your own niche, not anyone's wish. Remember, even a dead clock is right 2 times a day. So as you move forward in the cuisine of life, you will go through this potato, egg, and coffee syndromes. So in coffee, you might be an Americano or a cappuccino or a frappuccino or even a crappuccino. Time will tell. But I'll be intrigued to know what would be your story. Hang on, guys. Look at constructive hindsight, and you'll be well on way to your success stories. Thank you, everyone.